G'day there and welcome to the first video in the series about Utopian Realism, which is a civilizations model based upon reason. So I've invented the concept of a civilizations model, and I'll explain that very shortly. So in this video, we're going to be looking at a general overview of what actually is this Utopian Realism and a civilizations model, and then I'm going to be going into money and philosophy. And then part two is going to be looking at capitalism. The next part will be the transition from public property to private, or privatization as a solution to public property and services. Then we'll be looking at law, we'll be looking at policies, militia, and everything to do with what a civilizations model is. So this civilizations model, it's based upon freedom, reason, equity, sovereignty, individuality, and peace. A civilizations model, what it is a complete system of rules and ideas to ensure an orderly and proper functioning society. Utopian realism supports private currencies such as the freedom credit, which I've also invented. It operates using the socio-economic model of capitalism. Can't say I invented capitalism, but this is the best type of capitalism. That's part of utopian realism. And it's governed by objective law and philosophy. Objective philosophy. Utopia is the best system of interaction which is possible between humans. That's what utopia means. And if people think it means something else, okay, that is the context I'm using the term utopia. Utopia isn't perfect, but it's the closest thing that there is. In utopian realism, there are no governments, no monopolies, no rulers, no tax, no legally valid initiation of force, no public property or services, and no centralized regulating agencies. In utopian realism, all property is private. There is competition in every market. You only pay for what you use, and all interaction is voluntary, governed by objective law. Leadership is directed by private business owners, and cooperation is guided by mutual beneficial consent. I know that's a lot to take in. That's a lot there. If you'd like, you can go to the website and you can read this. The link for the description will be below this video. So next, we're going to start off looking at money, because I think that's the most important thing to have in a civilizations model is, well, how does the money work? Because if you have everything else perfect, the law is perfect, all the systems of capitalism and everything is perfect except for the money, well, you're going to have problems, to say the least. So what I'm doing is, I'm on my utopian realism page at the moment, and I'm clicking through the pages and I'm just reading what I have written here already to make it easy for you. So on the page about money, it says, without a fair, unbiased and reasonable money, a fair, unbiased and reasonable society is impossible. A good money is one which is private, sovereign, has a fixed acquisition value, is limited, self-custodial, peer-to-peer, deflationary and appreciates, amongst quite a few other things. The freedom credit is the best currency that fits this ideal. Civilization is built on the back of trade and the fair exchange of money. It's what stops us from devolving completely into beasts of the jungle and resorting to force every time we want to acquire what we want. Unfortunately, bad money, like we have today, can have even more disastrous consequences than pure force. It turns people into greedy, insatiable animals capable of committing unimaginable atrocities in quest for total power. The banking clans have a stranglehold over the world's economy and are continuously clamping their jaws tighter and tighter around the throats of the Earth's populace. If a solution isn't implemented soon, the freedom you believed you had may gradually dissolve into a forgotten memory. The solution to ensure freedom isn't erased is the freedom credit, or other currencies like it. The freedom credit's ambition is to be the world's dominant medium of exchange, but it can peacefully coexist alongside other forms of currency. There's no monopoly on anything, including money, in utopian realism. But the most successful will win out. To learn more about freedom credits, you can find the direct link to the Freedom Credits homepage below this video. And there I explain in great detail everything you need to know about the freedom credit and money in general, explaining, well, what is money, what is the purpose, what are the functions of it, what are the 20 or so qualitative aspects of money. I compare it to gold and silver, to cryptocurrencies, to fiat currencies. We look, what actually is money? What is it good for? Do we need it? What value does it have? How does it get its value? We look at many things to do with money and decentralized ledgers versus private ledgers. Oh, it's fantastic. If you're interested in money or just interested in your future and your children's future, then this is something that's absolutely recommended to check out. It'll be worth your time. You'll learn a lot and I'm sure you'll enjoy it as well. Actually, no, I can't be sure of that. Maybe you'll enjoy it. I hope so. So I actually made the first video before this one about capitalism, but that's actually part 2 in this series. And one small thing I just want to add is about private property in capitalism. So we all have an equal right to life, and to ensure our survival, we all have the right to private property. You have the right to own and have exclusive access to what you morally acquire and need to survive and thrive. Your shoes, your clothes, your car, your home, your land, and all your other property is yours, and you're free to do with it as you please, provided, of course, you're not violating anyone else's rights. Under capitalism, no one has the right to steal your belongings just because. There's no excuse to justify stealing other people's private property, which is rampant today. And it's done 99% of the time by professionals, aka governments. So if you want to learn more about capitalism, watch that video, which will actually be, if you're looking on my YouTube, it'll be right before this, but I'll probably put this into a playlist and the order may be fixed up. All right, next we're going to look at philosophy. And on the Utopian Realism homepage, I've actually got philosophy as the last thing because it's what people care about the least, but it is the most fundamental and the absolute necessary for anything else to happen. If you want capitalism, any other kind of good military, good system, you want peace and order, you have to have a good philosophy. And I've only got a very small amount of information here just to touch on some of the key questions which philosophy answers. And then if you want more detail, you can go through the playlists which are on the page. So what is philosophy and why do we need it? Well, before science and before psychology, there's philosophy. Philosophy shapes our science. Science would be impossible without the right philosophy. Psychology is built upon the bedrock of your philosophy. Did I say that right? Psychology is built upon philosophy. Everyone has it. Everyone has a philosophy. It's not just for intellectuals living in their ivory towers or grand castles. No, everyone has philosophy. You cannot escape it. And it's the most fundamental operating code and guide to action we have. Most fundamental. It shapes all our ideas and behavior from the way we think to what we believe and ultimately directs our entire life. Without a strong and objective philosophy, dystopia always prevails. We've got all of human history to prove that for a fact. That's not opinion. Utopia can only be built upon the foundational bedrock of an objective philosophy. The utopian good is impossible without the correct code of what's right and wrong, good and bad. Because you get so many of these other these fake utopias. Plato's utopia, his republic, and countless others. They say it's for the greater good and everything is fantastic and utopian, but you actually get into the nitty-gritty details. If the people were advocating these other pseudo-fake utopias were to make a video series and go down and break down the details, you'd realize it's dystopia. You'd prefer to burn in hell than to live in one of their fake utopian worlds. So that's why I'm quite detailed here, and obviously I'm not going into extreme detail here. I just want to give you the bare basics, and if you're interested in diving deeper, you have full opportunity with all the provided playlists. So these questions that the right philosophy is able to answer is, do I actually exist? Is life real? Am I real? Is there a God? How did we get here? Why are things the way they are? Can I trust my senses? How do I know what's true and what's false? How do I know right from wrong? How should I act and what should I do with my life? What is the purpose of life? Do I deserve to be happy? What are my values? Should I be honest or should I lie? What are virtues and how do I live by them? Should I? How should I treat and view myself? How should I treat and view others? Should I sacrifice myself for the sake of others? How can I get what I want without hurting others? Should I even want to not hurt others? Should I choose faith or reason to know reality? Should I listen to others or should I trust myself? How can I tell when I've made a mistake? It's all so complicated and difficult. I don't know what I should do about anything. What do I do? And you see, most of the time when because everyone's faced with that question, whether it's explicit or just implicit, everyone comes to that. Everything's so complicated what I do. And you see, most of the time people just throw up their hands in their feet and say, religion. Religion is the answer because it is a pre-philosophy. It's something that humans created before they had the intellectual capacity to actually study reality and come up with an objective philosophy to guide their life by reason, not by faith, because everyone has all these questions and we need answers to them. How am I meant to conduct and live my life? And so objectivism answers practically all of these. So the right philosophy has answers to all these questions and many, many more. The philosophy advocated by Utopian Realism and by me, as the creator of Utopian Realism, that is objectivism. And objectivism was created by Ayn Rand, perhaps 50 years ago or so. So relatively new philosophy. Her metaphysics, epistemology, and morality is near impeccable. Utopian realism differs in its politics compared to objectivism, particularly in regards to the existence of government, but agree with the immorality of tax and the morality of capitalism. That is the primary point of contention between myself and Ayn Rand's philosophy. But those three branches, metaphysics, epistemology, and morality, are fantastic, and there's hardly a word that I disagree with. So if you go onto the page, you can find that there is a beginner's introduction to objectivism, a playlist. You click on that and it goes to my YouTube channel where I've collated a whole bunch of objectivism videos, put it into a beginner's playlist. I've got a playlist about certainty in the senses from objectivist philosophers, virtues, values, and vices, reason, faith, emotions, psychoepistemology. That's another playlist. I've got self-interest. What actually is that? Intermediate philosophy playlist and an advanced philosophy playlist. And I mean, you'd have a very good understanding of objectivism at that point, but you still won't understand it all because it's a very big topic. So there's books you could read. Just take it step by step, but take it at your own pace. So in the next video, we'll be going over objective law, covering key points such as objective reality and the metaphysical axioms, objective morality principles and the 4 guiding laws, rights, the golden rule of equity, uncommitted crimes. Then we'll be looking at an example of the practicality of justice and rehab in contrast from utopian realism to the current system. Got a section here about who regulates business in utopian realism, what happens in court conflicts because courts are privatized, and there is a playlist that is recommended for much more information. So stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next video.